for example, if you're dating, say, somebody who just loves vegetables and maybe they're a vegan or whatever the case may be, right? And somebody on any given day, maybe you're out in town, maybe you're at home and they text you up and they call you and they're like, girl, I just saw your man and he was eating a T-bone steak. Like, you have to be able to be like, no, that wasn't my man. That was not him, because he does not eat T-bone steaks. He's a vegan, or he's vegetarian, right? So it's like in the same way, let's pick partners who we know full well, we can vouch for. If home girl or home guy rings me up and says, yo, I saw your girl, they were doing this and that, I'm like, no. That wasn't them. That wasn't them. I know where they are. I know what they do. Exactly.
and by T-bone steak, you mean the actual T-bone steak, right? Just so we're clear. Welcome, guys. Welcome to another session. For some, it's the first session. Welcome to another edition of our Real Talk session. If you haven't already, guys, you should like and subscribe to the channel for more content, and yeah, enjoy. But yeah, guys, I want to welcome everybody on the panel. I'm glad that we made so much good positive feedback from the first one, and I'm glad that we can do it again. All right. Okay. So yeah, today we've got a lot to talk about. It's a lot to unpack. A lot of crap to unpack. Excuse the pun. But yeah. All right. So guys, taking into account based on the topics that I've been, looking at and putting questions down, and having to get feedback from, and I'm glad that we have the lady's perspective, because it makes it so much better. I know. Thank you, Chloe, for last session. Definitely. Now that we've put more steroids in the female sector, perfect.
Yeah.
We'll continue to put more steroids as time goes. But yeah. But anyway, let's get to it, guys. All right. So, guys, our first topic for today. We've been seeing it on Facebook posts. You've been watching live streams of this court case with Johnny Depp, right? That's our first chat. But we all know what's happened. We all know the context of the matter. There's no need to go into detail, for those of you who know. It's not new news. It's something that's been going on for the past, this is the issues going on for the past 2 years, but obviously these events have been around since 2014, if I'm not mistaken. So my thing was, based on what we've witnessed and the inconsistencies of putting blame on this person, on this man. The evidence is there, the facts are there. And I want to dive in about accountability here, especially and this is not to do one side. Of course, we know not everybody's perfect in situations like this. May it be that Johnny Depp, yes, he is innocent, but also, some things have really caused him to come out of his shell as a person, because he's had to protect himself. And he's had to be somewhat a mean body in order for him to defend his name. So it comes to this. My question is that, and we can also expand on this conversation. What happens when somebody lies on you like this? Should there be consequences? Should we let the law take its course? What's the recourse for situations like this? Especially when you know that somebody is innocent. Because we live in a society where, and I get it, we have GDV, we have all these things occurring where it's so much, immoral behaviors happening, But at the same time, we have people using this and weaponizing it as a tool so that you can teach the other person a lesson, etc. But people will lie to get their way. So I'll start with you, Martin. Sorry, I'm looking at the top. I'm working Of course. So I'm looking at you guys. So Martin, you start off. What's your thoughts? What happens? What do you think? Yeah, let's get to it, bro.
Yeah, thanks for that. There will always be two different perspectives from which you can approach this from. The first one is the personal perspective. What are you going to do about it if you're Johnny Depp and she lies on you? And of course, we've kind of gotten Johnny Depp's perspective. He doesn't want her to get in trouble. You know, there is some signs of I still love her, and or maybe even more so, this is the mother of my child or children. I don't know if it's child or children. So you know, he does still have some mercy, but what does the average person do when they are lied upon, or what does the average person do, and how do they respond? You know, when they suffer that sort of injustice, and there are so many factors that could play into that. What do you do as a person based on your character, your personality? You know, do you fight or do you flight? What do you do according to your religious, spiritual beliefs? You know, what do they say you should do? Right. And I think when I ask those multiple questions, everybody can have different answers to it. As far as the law is concerned, clearly the law definitely does get involved and it does take its course. Something does happen. I'm thinking of a different celebrity as I say this in Jesse Smollett. Some of you may have heard the case going all the way back to like 2 years ago, where he lied about a hate crime. And he's recently spent some time in jail because of that lie. And I think that, you know, a result like that is very, very fair. You know, there should be some form of consequence. There should be some form of punishment. If not just for the act itself, then for the fact that there are people who are going through, you know, what you're lying about for real. Like if you lie about being abused, hey, there are people who are going through this for real. If you lie about, you know, whatever, hate crime, whatever the case may be, like there are people who are going through what you're lying about and hoping to profit off of for real. And some of these people can't even do anything about it. They can't afford, you know, these high class lawyers. They can't afford to have their case all pasted on the, you know, the morning paper. So there should be a consequence to answer your question. And everybody will have a different answer as far as what do I do personally? Do I, you know, run up on them, you know, show them some of these hands, or, you know, do I let the law do what the law does? And even when it comes to the law, there'll be different results. Like, you know, it depends where you stay. You know, South Africa, it's no secret that, you know, we have a love-hate relationship with our law. There are times when, you know, it helps us, but there are other times when, you know, our police system, maybe even depending on where you're from, can fail you. So do you put faith in a government and in a law system that has continuously failed you? Or do you take the law into your own hands? There are multiple answers, to be honest with you.
Okay. Chloe, what do you think?
I think, I believe the law should take its course and there should be consequences, you know, for doing that, because these kinds of allegations have consequences on your reputation, your earnings, your family. It can mess up a lot. So I think there should be repercussions and consequences.
Okay. This is G.
I'm with Chloe and what she was saying, but and also I'm with Martin too. I'm like basically in between the two. For me personally, if someone had to do that to me, because it's a big thing, you know, if someone going around talking about you and making up stories that are not really factual, that now have other implications in your life. Yeah, I would be that person. We will take it to the streets, because I honestly don't feel that the law deals adequately with people, if I can put it that way. I'm just speaking from even my own experiences, that normally the law has its nuances, its tendencies, its leniencies, especially like in a case like this, where he's a male, she's a female. I think there was an audio that was played in the court where she even said, "Who will believe you if you came out and said, I am Johnny Depp, I am this person, and my wife is abusing me? Who's going to believe you?" She even said that. So I feel like, yes, the law has its place, but sometimes we have to take it to the streets. So we can do both. We can deal with things legally, but while the legal process is going through, we'll go to the streets and take it to the streets.
Yeah.
Gangster.
Okay. We look at it, and you're absolutely right. There's the law, and there's the courts, and there's the courts of public opinion. We look at the Facebook or the Twitter comments. Aquaman 2 has had to delay because of, they was actually supposed to release about 2 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, and they've always delayed this because of this court case pending. And and now it's coming in full force now, where everybody's like, yo, you need to get her out of there. You need to take her out of the cast. You need to, even if it means restructuring and reshooting or replacing those scenes where she's involved, she got to go. I think, yes, by the court of public opinion, if you want to cancel it, do your thing, do what you must, do what you feel is good for you. However, we still, nonetheless, I believe that this situation should set a precedent as a whole to society, especially when we take issues like gender-based violence seriously. You get me? So we should definitely, especially for those victims who really go through it and are actually victims and are, no one's hearing them. This is for them. You get what I'm saying? So for me, I think in this situation, if you lie on somebody, the same energy you had for that person, if they were guilty, it should happen to you too. I think it should, because Johnny Depp's lost a lot of revenue over the past 2 years. He's lost a lot of money. He's lost a lot of income for his family. He's got kids. And just because somebody felt the need, this person, you can see at many lengths, all the roads lead to chaos. From recording, from throwing glass, cutting his finger, from, defecating on the bed. It's a lot of things. So what do you do in this situation? How do you set an example? Because they should set an example. I think it also covers on a lot of things, even stuff like paternity fraud. There should be consequences when it comes to this, because one thing leads to another, And this rhetoric of, I believe, it's a pendulum, But yeah, in a nutshell, guys, what do you think personally in your eyes? Anyone can go first. What do you think should really happen to her? Let's take away Twitter. Let's take away social media. What should really happen?
Yeah. Can I just start off by asking, does she have children? Does she have this man's children, first and foremost?
No. All his kids are from a previous marriage.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, she can go to jail.
I actually have to interject in there that the fact that you even asked that question is very intriguing, because even in the whole story with Johnny Depp and her, one of the things is that he was always looking out for her and protecting her, the same way you ask him, do they have children? So if she was the mother of the child, or a child, or children, does that give her a free pass? Does that make it okay?
No. But that's what's going to be enforced. That's what the lawyer's going to use. The lawyer's going to be
exactly
for kids. You can't take it. So yeah.
Yes, but that's exactly why I'm saying that. For me, if someone did me dirty like that, I would take it to the streets, because you can't hide behind children. I mean, you must own up to your actions. And then on top of it, if you're the sort of character to do this, how do we even trust you with the children? You know what I mean? Yes,
True.
you're a mom. That's how we're painting you. You're a mother. You know, maybe I speak from a different place because I'm a stepmother. I'm also a biological mother. And yes, I've been through that crazy ex baby mama drama shit. I've been through it. I've been through it.
No, go for it. No, it's an open platform, so don't worry. Yeah.
So I've been through that, so I can look at things from that perspective. You know, we've been to court multiple times, and eventually gets to a point where it's like the court system works sometimes, and it doesn't always work. So the long and short of it is that we can't give you a free pass because you're the mother of my child, for example. If you're toxic, you're toxic. Whether you're the mother, you're not the mother, it doesn't matter. If you're toxic, you're toxic. And we need to cut out the cancer.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Yeah, I was just saying, I think I agree. I know I agree. Perhaps my question sort of came from, you know, that place that says, don't let the son or the daughter pay for the parent's sin. And ultimately, yes, there is supposed to be some repercussions. But as Alfred said, if I'm a lawyer and I'm arguing this in court, the child comes up. You know, that is a factor, you know, especially if they're going to go to jail. How long are they going to go to jail when you think about the fact that how old is their child? So if I have a teenager, maybe I'm probably going away for a long time. But if my child is an infant and they need me there, and, you know, you can pull on the jury's heartstrings to say, yeah, who would want to miss out on, you know, the growth of their child from infant to toddler to, you know, adult, whatever the case may be. So it's a factor. I don't think it's a free pass, but it's a factor. Yeah.
Yeah, but these are systems in place. Systems that have been put in place for it to deliberately happen this way. If she had a child, there's no way that she would have seen a jail cell. You know, that's what happened. She did have a child, and I think it also in Johnny's case, he would have actually said, "Look, don't." But I guess that's how Johnny is. But the laws are law.
But isn't it? But just on maybe to even drag the conversation a little further, isn't it cruel then how, you know, if she did have a child, no way she sees a jail cell. But again, I'm not trying to offend anyone here, but if a man has a child, he could see all the jail time, whatever, you know. So it's kind of crazy. I've always had a suspicion that our society does tend to value mothers more than they do the presence of fathers. And so, you know, when these systems come into place and a man has an infant son or an infant daughter, okay, fine, put him to jail, whatever the case may be. But don't consider the fact that he has a child because, well, she's okay or he's okay in the presence of a mother. But then, you know, that problem again that we keep on facing in society, where are the fathers? You know, so I find it interesting.
Okay. Anyone else? No objections to that?
I have no objections to that at all because it's literally like that. It's fact. The court systems, all systems, I think it's probably even a worldwide thing that the courts prefer a mother. In the court's eyes, children are better off with a mother. I don't know why. And I've met many single dads, good dads, who are doing it on their own, but unfortunately, that's just the way things are set up.
But it's society. But it's like it goes back to the conversation we always have, is that these systems have been put in place to advocate for women, and that's the harsh reality. That's the reality of it all. Is that the women is the victim, stop abuse. You get what I'm saying? And in those spaces, everything is blanketed. Everything is blanketed when it comes to situations like this, because we always hear stories. Go to Mzansi Magics, watch. You always hear of toxic fathers. You always hear of this. We hear of
Mzansi Magic. Have you seen Moja Love?
You know, you go to any channel that there is not one, and this is a pure fact, there is not one channel that advocates for a space where a guy can speak and talk about the things that he might be going through, in a sense of where he could be in trouble because someone's lying on him, etc. I watched, yes, Chloe, you sent me that link. Remember that link you sent me about the lady lying about the child to that guy? You know, she lied to him about the paternity of the child. The child wasn't his after like 3 years. So
Yeah.
you're doing exactly the same thing. You're committing fraud when you lie like that. And what does the system do? Because he has to pay maintenance. He's on the system. He must pay child support. This is a universal thing. So now the child's not his. What does he do? Who does he talk to? What does he say?
Are they going to pay him back his money?
Are they going to compensate him for the shit he's gone through? So yeah, it's a world.
Which I don't think.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I was just saying, which I don't think they're gonna compensate him. Ain't no way.
I highly doubt it. No. I highly doubt that it's going to get anything back. And that's the thing.
It's not funny, but yeah.
I know, I get it. It's a serious thing, but like, it's just so sad how a system is set, you know, accordingly to say, look, there's one part of this people who are causing this, and these people are a victim by autonomy. It's an automatic process where they are victims. So yeah, and that's where you'll get and that's why I targeted and said there's no accountability. Amber Heard has full accountability for this. I doubt even that.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but sorry, I'm going back to this DNA story because it's always something that's always in my mind. I think that it should become a thing where it's mandatory and it's a process that when you give birth to a child, whether you're married, single, divorced, widowed, whatever your story is, I feel like DNA tests should become a mandatory standard thing as one of the tests when a baby is born. That's how I feel.
I agree. I 100% agree. I 100% agree with that. It has no bearing. It has no, because if you if you generally just bring it up with your lady, what do you think I'm doing? I'm cheating on you. I can't believe this. Like, I was just needed it.
Yeah.
But it's funny.
I feel like it should be just when babies are born, they do that APGAR test where they test them. They test that they must also add DNA while they're there testing everything about you. They might as well test your DNA. Whether you're married, single, whatever your status, doesn't matter. Whether dad is involved, not involved, they must just do a DNA test for everyone.
Absolutely. For the sake of compensation, so yeah, I agree with that.
And we also said
sorry, go on.
No,
I was just saying, we're just tired of these stories where people come back years later, you've been paying maintenance for a child that's not yours, or whatever happens and the child finds out you're not their father, whatever. We're tired of that narrative. So if we do DNA testing from birth, it sorts a lot of things out.
That's true. What say you, Chloe?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree to a certain extent. In terms of mandatory, like on a global scale, then you have a whole genetic data issue. Like, I'm not sure about that. I have too much skepticism in that. But I believe, like, if you're unmarried, as I would recommend any of my friends or relatives, if you're unmarried, get a DNA test. And like, I think as a woman, I would say to other women, like, maybe don't be so offended by it if you're unmarried, or especially if you don't live together. If you don't live together, I definitely probably won't be offended. But I mean, yeah, I just think in this information and technology age, I'm not sure if I would fully back like global genetic data testing, because yeah, that's a whole other paradigm that will come about from that, if you get what I mean. Like, that's
yes, it's a whole yeah, they could create
affects
a
the medical
potentially create a
industry. Yeah, like food industries, medical industries, politic, like that'll create a whole nother political shift altogether.
but I feel like it should be a thing where whether you're married or not, I feel like too many men have been through so much of this bullshit of people claiming you the dad. Imagine taking care of someone for 18 years of your life, thinking it's your person. You've bonded with them, you've built a life with them, you've paid for everything, only to find out years later this was not even the case. And then what? Then once it's found out, it's like, oh well, sorry.
Yeah. Does he get his school fees money back? Does he get piano lesson money back? Does he,
We were talking today about my husband and I today were talking about even just having kids, like the expenses of having kids. It's a huge expense.
But
It's ridiculous. So after someone does that to you, then the end of the result end is, oh, okay, sorry, you're not the dad. Boo, bye, thanks.
is it because
No way.
it might sound controversial? Is it because it could be the other way around? And I'm sorry, I'm going off it a little bit by asking this, is that I don't even know how to put this question. Are women having kids with guys in a way that they hope that if they have a child with a certain guy, that it's gonna get them to be in that relationship for a long time or forever? And it seems that this guy is basically detached from the whole idea, but he just happened to be in this situation. That's just a thought. I'll direct this to whoever. I know I'm going a bit off here, but is that the case where
I
women
want to speak, but I feel like I've been speaking too much. Someone else must speak.
Yeah. I'll pick up the ball over there. There are situations, and it sounds cynical, but there are situations where that could be the case, where literally somebody could have a child, hoping that it would, either endear them to the man or to the man's family because they value, a continuation of legacy, or to trap the man. There are situations I've seen maybe one time in person, but you hear multiple stories about it if you're on social media. And again, it all goes back to the roots, doesn't it? I feel like a lot of things all go back to the root. Like, if you are thinking like that as a young woman, then that's a fruit. But the root of it probably goes back to, how do you view sexual intercourse? How do you view having babies? How do you view marriage? What's your worldview on that? Like, what is the purpose of that? If the purpose of that is to trap and, secure a person for the rest of your life, then okay, cool. I guess that's what you're going to do with it. But if the purpose of that is to build a family, it's to, to continue legacy, and whatever healthy reason, or whatever a personal reason you have towards that, that's what will manifest. And so, I guess this is just for anybody who asks, how could anybody think like that? Yeah, well, there are people who think like that because for them, sex is just that. Like, okay, it ain't that big, of a deal. We can just do it, and that's it. Having babies, of course, it's nothing to do with nurturing or putting out into the world. Like, those are deep reasons for us. We just want to make sure that he stays, and we secure that child maintenance check. So it's crazy. It's a lot of views out here.
Yeah. But how common is this, and how many men are aware of this? Is that can a man sue for a woman for paternity fraud? And say, yes, a man can sue. A man who has been told by the mother that he's not the father by a child can sue her if she's lying. A woman it has a legal obligation to tell the correct man that he's the father of her child. Right. That's as far as it goes. Right.
What if she doesn't know who he is?
That's the thing. So now we're sitting
Awkward.
in, it's a conundrum now after if you can't find who the father of the child is. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a whole conundrum. Jeez.
Awkward.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway.
Only thing I do know about South African law and coming to paternity is if you as a father have whatever inkling or feeling that this is not your child, especially when you go to the maintenance court, you are more than welcome to approach the court and the court will run DNA tests on your behalf.
Yeah.
Especially when but it only comes into play if a woman comes to you and is suing you for maintenance. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, is this even my child? Then you don't have to pay anything. You can even put everything on hold and then the courts will assist you with doing the DNA test.
Oh. That's awesome.
And then based on that, if you're the father, you must pay the maintenance. If not, then you're free to go.
Yeah. I think in a nutshell, they should be, you look at it, everything should be on the same wavelength. As we have fought for equality. So I think in that respect, when things like this, whether you're lying in court about somebody putting hands on you, whether you lie about other things, the same consequences that would be applied on whoever that it may happen to should be applied on the other side as well. So I think as well changing these narratives, because guys, as long as there's mainstream media and these talk shows, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change. As long as there's long talk shows and all these Oprahs of the world and, Jerry Springer's, ain't going to change. It's going to be the same narrative over and over again. That's why this case is so significant, because it speaks to a lot of people. But yeah. Any thoughts, guys? Last thoughts about
they
this?
made him a meme.
Yeah?
Did you see that they made him a meme as well?
Oh, Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Really? How? I haven't seen any. Or maybe I've.
For some reason, I didn't pay attention to it. I just kept scrolling. But the same way they made Will Smith a meme with August, they made him a meme with the situation of her defecating on the bed and.
Content creators remain undefeated.
No. All day, every day, bro. All day, every day. Chloe, last thoughts? Anything from you when you're saying?
I think it's a shame when in these situations, these cases are the type of reasons why women don't get believed. It just continues that trend in courts, like it makes women's genuine cases that much harder to be believed and prosecuted properly. But she's there wasting millions of pounds, affecting everyday citizens have to watch her trial, affecting everyday working people's lives based on her lies. So I think these kind of things should be punishable, regardless of being a mother.
She's literally wasting time to save face. She's changed lawyers during the course of this whole debacle. She's changed lawyers. They even know that she's crazy. They're like, nah, B, I ain't gonna deal with this. So now it goes to show, one must just concede and look, even to Johnny, I'm sure, and I'm not speaking for him, but I'm sure a guy like Johnny, a public apology will suffice. He can walk off with a public apology and $50 million in his pocket. That's all. He doesn't be like, she doesn't have to go to jail. Okay, fine. You've acknowledged I just need to go my separate way. That's how Johnny is. Some people are ruthless out here. They'll be like, no, she needs to go in 6 months, county jail. Sorry? What was that?
Going to the streets.
Hey, it's going to the streets, Jeez. All I know is that she cannot be acting on movies now. So that's my opinion. Anyway.
Yeah.
But Chloe brought up a very valid point, and I'm literally right behind her, that her being that person basically invalidates every woman who's been through the real thing, who's been through the real abuse, the real everything that she claims Johnny did to her. It's actually sad. Because it invalidates every woman who's ever been through that.
Because now here's the thing, and you're absolutely right in that regard. Because being that said, where are the Me Too movements? Where are they? Because they're hearing this. Where is they had a lot to say when things were happening. They were more glad to dig a hole for this guy and give him a shovel and let him dig himself in. J.K. Rowling was there. She was going in. She was basically one of the pioneers of this whole thing and being a part of it. For Fantastic Beasts. So because she did the whole Fantastic Beasts campaign. So she went on Twitter during that time. I believe Amber, blah blah blah. Where are these movements now? Because can we address lies? Can we address them? What are we doing to address lies and for the real victims who are going through this things?
And also, can your apology be as loud as your disrespect?
There we go.
True.
There we go.
True.
You are literally going to campaigns, standing on stage and talking about you being a victim. Can you go with that same energy? Yeah. It's deep.
I agree.
Accountability is like kryptonite out here. But anyway, so this is in context if you are dating someone. So let's take this in a dating or a marriage aspect. So telling your partner where you are and who you are with at a specific time is not controlling, it's respect.
As just a way to show, between both sides that we care about each other that much and we are so involved in each other's lives that much that we communicate when I'm about to go somewhere or, when I am somewhere. This is where I am, this is what I'm doing. And I find that when it's really practiced in a healthy manner, there can also be a lot of situations that it saves you from. I mean, it sounds very dramatic to bring it up right now because it doesn't happen every day, but maybe it doesn't happen to you every day, and one time it happens that you are maybe carjacked or you're kidnapped, or more so in my case, I've experienced a personal situation where I went out to sleep somewhere, and then I got really, really sick, like throughout the week. And I remember taking some pills and just dozing off on the bed by myself. And the people who were concerned about me really, really thought I was out because they were calling me, and my phone wasn't being picked up. And it really just the safest. I guess the reality was I was just dosed off pills. And so when I woke up, eventually I just saw all the missed calls, but it could have been way worse. It could have been way worse than that. And, for them to know where I am and where to reach me in case there is an issue, very, very important. And of course, I think it goes up a level when you're married. It's no longer just a preference thing. Like, okay, I might tell you, I might not tell you. And that, it applies to both sides. It's not just women telling men, it's also men telling women. It's important for us to know where we are, not because we want to control where we are, but again, it's just a matter of that healthy communion in a relationship that just gets you to tell that person you're with, hey, this is where I am. And of course, just in case something happens to me, this is where you're going to find me. Just in case you try and call at this time of the night and I don't pick up, this is where you can find me just in case something, wrong might happen. So yeah, I don't see too many faults with it. Although again, it can be misused.
Mrs. G?
So this is an interesting topic for me, mainly because when I met my husband, I was like, 27, now 35. And he's that person. He wants to know what you're doing, where you're going, what's happening. And in the beginning of our relationship, I found it like sort of like a controlling thing. Like, why do you want to know what I'm doing and where I'm going? Like, it was very odd for me. But then over time, I understood that picture, like what you were saying, what Martin is saying, that it's also a safety aspect. If something happens to you. So now, that time we weren't even married. We lived together. I leave the house, I go do whatever I'm doing, and then something happens to me. If something happens to me, the first thing they're going to ask him is, where did she go? Where were you when this was happening? Where were you in this picture? So your wife or your potential wife leaves the house and you don't even know where they're going. So yeah, it's like Martin was saying, I co-agree with him that it's an okay thing, but it can be misused and abused.
Because it can be misconstrued as being controlling, because we need to dissect what does controlling actually mean in a situation where you actually care about somebody. Because if you really care, if you didn't care, then that person is left to their vices, and then anything can happen. And who is responsible for that? Especially when you are like Martin said, it does go up a notch when you are married. So those are the situations. It's not always. Yes, you do get those few people who tell you you're gonna do this, get here at 8 o'clock, make me a meal at this time, blah blah blah, all that stuff. You hear stories, right? But in certain situations, it's not necessarily controlling, but somehow putting some kind of a structure within the home, or some kind of structure in terms of because if there's no order, things will be, you get lost in translation. There's a lot of miscommunication, because our life, this is a form of communication. That's why communication is important. So, no one can say, oh, I've heard it quite a few times after reading this post, and or reading this specific line, and a lot of people have always contributed to being insecure and controlling. They're insecure of where I'm going. They're insecure of what I might be doing. And insecure, to a certain degree, yes, because that person is not sure. You're not. No one can be secure for somebody that they know, or their significant others missing for 2 days. It doesn't. It makes things worse. To be honest, it makes things worse.
When we talk about this topic, like I said, that's an interesting one for me, because I had to adapt to a type of thing that I was not used to. So when my husband and I were dating, he told me outright, flat out, that as much as is possible within his control, we have to do everything together. So that's how things are now. So wherever you see me, most likely my husband is right around the corner next to me or with me. At first, I thought this is so bizarre. This sounds controlling. But then over time, when I thought about it, it actually makes sense. That you move together, you go together. Anything can happen to you. And that's also part of what people call you reporting to your partner. If I go out with my friends, I tell them I'm going out to this place. This is where we're going. If we switch venues, I drop him a message to tell him we have moved from, yes, I said I'm going to whatever place. Now we've moved on to this place. And it's not like controlling. It's more like, if someone cares about you, they need to know your whereabouts. They need to know what's happening. They need to know your movements.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, just to add on, and I mean, just to add on to that, I'm not married, but I understand that marriage as a concept, it speaks to the idea of two people coming together to be one. Two people coming together to be in complete agreement. And so, even before marriage, when you practice simple steps of communication, just telling each other, this is where I'm going to be, this is where I'm going, all the way to being married. And, this is where I'm going. If you want to, you can come with me. And, if I'm, on center stage, you can be backstage. It's like you're practicing exactly what marriage is about, which is being one, being in agreement. Because especially in marriage, one body cannot be in disagreement. Otherwise, we're going to have a bit of a disaster, right? So, I'm a husband. I'm sitting over here like, okay, wait, she told me she's going to Checkers. Oh, but she's at Woolworths. How's that working out? So
Yeah.
we're in disagreement, So yeah, I like that. I really do like that as a concept and as a practice as well, because it's more than just a concept.
There's a certain fine line to it because what you just said reminded me of a movie, White Chicks, where comes back when Marlon comes back to the house
All the movies.
and his wife was like,
I know the movie.
"Where were you? I was at the bar. Why did you come here at this time? You're 5 minutes late. It's like the bar's down the road. No, it takes you 15 minutes to get to the bar. I calculated that time. Why are you late?" It's a crazy,
Literally.
crazy line between that. And it's like
Yeah.
a lot of people have
They-
really, and especially when it comes to just general dating, those are the type of things that are never discussed, but they're acted upon, right? You'll really see a person how they really are when they ask you, where were you? This and this, who are you with? Blah, blah, blah. And then when you have a different, I'm like, I'm with my boys, I'm here. What are you doing there? And it's like, okay, we didn't have this discussion. So I think from Jump Street it should always be something that's spoken of when it comes to, just general maybe activity within your partner. If your partner's gonna go play golf or hang with the girls, communicate it. It's nothing about insecurity. It's just more just cooperation. What Mrs. G has just conveyed now is not necessarily controlling, it's cooperation. That's what we need. You work with me, I work with you.
Yeah, I
And
think
another
it's
thing,
important.
yeah.
Go on.
No, you go on. You go on. I've already spoken, but I'll just add on to what you're saying.
Like on a more serious note, especially more so from a male perspective, if you like the first person that's accused is the partner, so it is best for him to know and have, be able to give the right information and show that apparently these are the places she was and I wasn't there, or this is when I tried to reach her there because this is what she told me. So I think it's important on that aspect as well,
Yeah, from a safety aspect, it really is a thing. It's a real thing because in 2018, I had a horrible accident. So some guy just T-boned me.
Oh, no.
And I was in hospital for like 3 months from that accident. And during that time, my husband knew where I was. And funny enough, the accident happened 10 minutes from my house. This was driving from the Northwest all the way to Midrand. And 10 minutes before my location, some guy just came in. So when the accident happened, my husband already knew my whereabouts. I really even messaged him to say I'm almost home. And then the accident happened. So it wasn't like where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? Blah, blah. Everything was already there. And like Chloe was saying that when something happens to a partner, you as the other partner is already number one suspect. If you're the wife, you're the girlfriend, you're the husband, you're the boyfriend, you become suspect number one. Now they're asking you questions. So where did she say she was going? And then you're going to say you don't know.
Yeah, that's actually quite true because I think
It sounds shady. How do you not know where your partner is?
I thought about that too when I dated a few. But Martin, go for it. I'll tell you my story. Martin, you had a point to put across there.
Cool. Yeah, this is just hopping off of your White Chicks point and the fine lines between it as well. I think it's also important to at the very beginning of a relationship, let's stretch it all the way back to say talking stage. Try as hard as you can to find someone with whom you are in alignment with, someone who you can vouch for as far as I'm not going to say their predictability, but I am going to say their predictability in a positive sense, right? So like if ever it could be said, like for example, if you're dating, say, somebody who just loves vegetables and maybe they're a vegan or whatever the case may be, right? And somebody on any given day, maybe you're out in town, maybe you're at home and they text you up and they call you and they're like, girl, I just saw your man and he was eating a T-bone steak. Like, you have to be able to be like, no, that wasn't my man. That was not him, because he does not eat T-bone steaks. He's a vegan, or he's vegetarian, right? So it's like in the same way, let's pick partners who we know full well, we can vouch for. If home girl or home guy rings me up and says, "Yo, I saw your girl. They were doing this and that." I'm like, no. That wasn't them. That wasn't them. I know where they are.
Yeah,
I know
you
what
can
they're
with your
doing.
chest.
Exactly.
and by T-bone steak, you mean the actual T-bone steak, right? Just so we're clear.
I mean the actual T-bone steak, but if the shoe fits.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, that's true. It definitely, it's always based on the confidence you have in your partner.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's scary. You're absolutely right. I think some years back, I was dating another lady. She was on her way to see me, and she got into an accident, right? Luckily, and this is where this is a dark road. Luckily, she had called me, and in my head, driving on the way there to the scene of the accident, she was okay. Anything could have been worse. It could have been worse. Because as well, now it's like I'm responsible. I could have been chilling at home, and then this person doesn't arrive. They don't answer their phone, and they're nowhere to be seen. It's crazy. It's scary. But as well, at most for the most part, when we look at situations like this, when it comes to checking in, talking, communicating, there are those individuals out there who will do it for other reasons besides safety. Safety is not the first thing that they are concerned about. They're rather concerned about what that person's doing. Are they cheating? Are they creeping around? Are they doing X, Y, and Z? It's the safety is the last thing on their minds. You get me? So, I hope I'm not going off on this by saying that. Like that's the situation most people encounter, where men will tell me, guys will tell me, like, I don't know. She thinks I'm cheating, but I'm sitting here with you having a beer. You're like, is your safety? But what if you leave my house to go home and she calls here and you didn't make it home? Is your safety a concern first? Or is it just the fact that she suspects you're doing something unbecoming? So it also goes both ways in that situation. So, like you said, you have to use your discernment about the type of person to have a conversation with about things like this, because you must really be honest. Especially women and men alike, we should be really honest. You're like, look, I'm the type of person who checks in all the time. I, for myself, I hate it. I hate with a passion when somebody doesn't check in. Right? I hate it when it's not even I hate it. I just don't like it. Doesn't sit well because I'm the type of person who does that. If I don't sit on the phone, if I'm not, I'm incoherent for the next 2 days, it's a worry. Because I'm always like that type of person. Some people are like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I've just been busy. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. But I guess it depends on the individual as well. Especially in a dating scene, it's a very, very tricky one. It's a slippery one, especially when it comes from who you've dated previously, who you're dating currently, past experiences, projecting of behavior.
But I also have to, sorry, I'm interjecting you right now because I agree with everything you say. And basically the long and short of everything is it comes down to when you're starting in the dating phase, I feel like people just need to own up to who they are. Like, this is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. And if you are not that person, cool. No hard feelings. Let's move along on to the next one. Till I find the person who gives me what I want. I feel like most problems arise from the fact that people meet people, you want to fit in, you want to adjust yourself to that person, but unfortunately you are who you are. So it's so much easier to just lay out your cards on the table.
Yeah.
Can I also say something about that?
I'm a big advocate of it because my husband, first and foremost, before I met him, I prayed for a husband. I literally did. And I prayed for him in a way that I would want him to be. And yeah, eventually I got what I wanted and more, but I left out some other things. I should have been more specific. But anyway, now we move on. We get to meet each other. We talk about what we want. So I made it no secret. I'm looking for a traditional relationship where a man is a man. A man's job is to provide. I will be the mother, the wife, the everything in between. Where you can't fill in the gaps, I'll be that person. So I feel like the main issue in life is that people need to be honest. Just be honest about what you want. If it costs you the relationship, fine.
Yeah, just to add to that, like I really also feel like another issue that, I'll be honest, even I have made this mistake before, in approaching relationships, is when you approach relationships falling in love with the idea of a person, or falling in love with your projection of who they could become. That makes it very difficult to then walk away when it turns out they're not quite what you projected, or the idea you have in your head versus who they actually are. Those two don't actually link up.
Connect.
And so, yeah, they don't actually connect, right? So I feel like it's part of the reason why many people stay in relationships that aren't necessarily good for them or don't even meet their criteria. It's like, but yeah, I've got this image in my head though, and maybe if I stay long enough, or maybe if I do this, or maybe if I do that, or if I keep moving in this direction, maybe, just maybe, what I see in my head I will finally see in front of me. And that's a hard life to live. It's a very hard life to live. So that's an agreement with you, with your point over there, and just maybe even exposing the issue. Maybe we're diving into a completely different topic, but some of the issues that you find with picking a partner, and maybe even staying with a partner whom you know full well you probably shouldn't be with.
Can I be devil's advocate there?
Go on.
Men, like particularly dudes, that is easy in theory, but men tend to, our issue in a way is men tend to compromise those certain things just to get laid, right? And look, and this is truth, this is real, where we have this rhetoric where there's this take me as I am attitude, and men are so fixated on just the beauty and the visual. We are visual, of course, but we're so fixated on the visual to the point where we're like, yes, I'll compromise just to be with her, no matter how much she treat me. Maybe she'll change, maybe, but come down the line, she's still set in her ways, and she's not willing to change that. So, who's the sucker in this situation? Because men's egos tend, and this is why it goes back to that same issue we had, the same topic we brought up in terms of men having kids or having children with women that they're not necessarily with for a long-term basis. Is that men are literally looking to compromise anything and anything, and they put themselves in such a mess because they are not the ones. They're the ones who didn't go through the right processes. They didn't have enough follow through or see through to make a right decision about what type of person they're engaging with as well.
But again, I feel like it also still goes back to the root.
Take this to Terry. Sorry, I'm interjecting. I was saying we need to take this to Chloe because she was leaning so front into the camera while you were talking. She had a lot to say.
I mean, I'm gonna throw it to
I agree completely with that. And I think it goes both ways with women, because women are usually the ones complaining about, oh, he's never around. And it goes back to what we were discussing before. Are you having this child to trap someone? So I think that totally applies to both people, and I think both genders should be accountable for that, discerning the partner and making a proper decision.
Mm.
Go
And
on.
again, it for me, I really, I don't know, maybe I'm really just pressed by this just one idea or this one practice of really just everybody just asking themselves and self-introspecting, what is the reason for which I'm going into a relationship?
Yes,
What do I value about relationships, right? So
yes.
again, it's like I keep saying it time and time again. Whenever I see these scandals happen and these relational issues happen around sex, around having kids, I'm barely surprised because I'm like, that's what you get when you put sex as the, God
Main
of the
thing.
relationship. There's the main thing, right? That's exactly what you're gonna get. You, of course, it's gonna look like it's working well for the first few days, but eventually, if you build your house on sand, it's gonna come crumbling down,
Yeah.
right? So let's have more discourse, let's have more conversation, and maybe even let's have more education about some of the things, not some of the things, but all of the things we need to value about relationships. Is it about having stability? Is it about companionship? Is it about truly admitting that by myself I could never do it, right? That yeah, I couldn't build this house by myself. I couldn't carry on with this life by myself. I need a helper to come beside me. And perhaps when you actually start valuing those things, if she comes up to you and she says, "Hey, listen, until we get married, no sex," then perhaps more guys stay, right? But maybe I'm a bit controversial, but perhaps more guys actually say, you know what, that's very sensible. I must stay. Let's build this thing up. Perhaps very few guys say, nah, she's crazy, bro. What? No sex before? Come on. You know what I'm saying?
That's that,
So again,
guys. Have you guys entered relationships where you have no sex before marriage? What the hell? We need to
I have,
test drive the machine
I
before we get
have.
in.
No, I have. I have. And part of what has that revealed, what that has revealed, that experience alone all by itself is that,
No.
again, when these, listen, hear me out, Mrs. G, because you want to come
Sorry.
to me. Listen, here's a question every single guy should ask themselves, and every single girl who maybe even advocates for sex before marriage. When I
Mm-hmm.
say to you, until you can get married or until you can put a ring on my finger if I'm a girl, then you cannot have any of this. That
Mm-hmm.
thing that rises up on the inside of you and resists what I'm saying and tells me I'm crazy and oh my goodness, how could you even say that and who does that? Where does that come from?
Hey,
It comes from I need to get laid.
Again, and why though?
No.
it also, it
Come
No,
also,
on,
wait.
like
it
How do
also
you commit to someone? What if you whack in bed? Now I'm married to you. What must I do with you? You said you can't do the things that I want you to do. What must I do with you? I'm married to you. I'm stuck with you. So we have to test drive the machine before we buy it. That's
it's
why
you
cars
know,
we have test drive for a reason.
in my
there's only
opinion,
so much I can say in response to that.
in
Go
my opinion, it's a bit of a, especially in today's age, it is a bit of an oxymoron because you go on Instagram,
on.
half the women are literally posing naked or half naked.
Mm.
That's the thing. They're selling their sexual element or they're selling their sexual persona before they sell themselves.
Yeah.
So therefore, when you project a certain thing to the world, whoever's watching, whoever's looking will see you that way. They will not take you seriously. They will not see that you in you. All they see is half naked girl with a
What
bikini
you
on with
projected.
go on Instagram. All you see is that's all you see. And it's like, okay, what do we do with this now? Are we supposed to back off and just look? Or because for me, here's the thing. Let me be very honest with you, Martin. I'll let you cook now. Let's just
Go on.
any girl who goes on the gram and posts a picture naked or half naked or somewhere you've got something showing, you can't expect proper outcomes from that.
No,
You can't.
I agree.
It's just, you can't expect proper outcomes. You can't be like, yo, there's not some sensible men out here, but look what you're doing. Look what you're doing to cause an effect. I'm not saying wear a burqa. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying is that like look at the situation. It's like literally 80% or a large percentage of women are literally selling themselves, and I'm not saying that in a prostitution way, they're selling themselves in that they're putting their market value there on that gram to that certain extent, where men who are visual already will act upon what they see. They're not looking at they're not looking at, can this person hold a good conversation? You're giving us what you think you can give us, we're gonna go for it. That's what's happening now. So it's very weird for a girl to say, I'll not give it up until we're married, and she's doing that. It depends on the person. It depends on the individual.
I'm saying, I'm putting it out there in the open. Anybody that I'm with, I'm not committed to someone until I have test drive those goods. I have to do a test drive.
Sure.
You don't buy a car. You don't walk to a dealership and say, "Oh yes, I like that Merc. Let me take it home." No, you first climb in the Merc, you ride it out, and you see if you like that particular Merc. Maybe you like another one.
to the point of the girls who post, these pictures, these provocative pictures on Instagram, sexually explicit pictures, that's the right phrase for it, on Instagram. This is my rebuttal, and it wasn't my rebuttal, it's actually theirs, and I'm gonna give it to you, Alfred, because I want you to respond to it.
Okay.
They argue, this is they who say this, right? Not me. Just because I post my body on social media does not mean I am open to sex or open to being objectified as a sexual object. This is the argument.
Okay. All
right.
So
what do you say to that?
So here's my rebuttal then. If that's the case, and if you feel that way, I recommend you get off social media and you put yourself out there organically. Will she do it? Put yourself out there organically. She's not. The most chance she'll be like, get the hell out of my face for that. Like, if that's the thing that you don't want to put out, get off the platforms that are put in place for that. They condone this. The social media platforms condone this. Never have I seen somebody get reported for showing booty pics. I'm sorry. I'm yet to see someone get banned and say, look, I was banned for inappropriate pictures. You know what I'm saying? Half naked. So here's my thing. Just to rebuttal in a nutshell, if you feel that men are projecting themselves where you're uncomfortable, get off those platforms and do things in an organic manner.
I disagree.
Okay, you may.
Let's hear it.
Disagree. And mainly because of the fact I will always disagree a lot of times, a lot of things you guys have to say.
Okay.
Most because of the fact that just because I'm showing you my body, it doesn't mean you have a right over my body. You know what I mean? I don't know if Chloe will understand this. It's a female thing. I can show you my body, but it doesn't mean I have to give you my body every time and all the time you want it. It's mine at the end of the day, and I'm in control of this space. So I want to post nude pictures. Yes, I'm going to post them. And if you think that I'm a lesser class woman or I'm whatever woman you want to call me, either way, I'm posting my pictures. And I'm going to do...
But who are you doing it for?
Yeah.
For myself. That's the other thing that men don't understand. Like, even when you get all dressed up, like sometimes when I get all dressed up and because I stay home, when I get dressed up and whatever, my husband will say, "Oh, what are you getting all dressed up for?" So I was like, for me, it's gonna
okay, then why don't you
the other person or anybody, for yourself.
Okay, so then so then based on that argument, every single social media content creator who poses naked should probably go into their settings and click on the setting or the button or whatever that says that only I can view my posts, based on that logic, right? Nobody else can see it.
No, part of it is also a confidence booster. You're gonna tag the people must see you. Confidence booster.
Remember one thing, and I'm gonna rebuttal to what you just said there, Mrs. G, is that I get what you're saying, is that you'll put pictures out there, but remember one thing is this can be on any platform, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, doesn't matter. When a woman puts herself out there on these social media platforms, men are always going to look and go that direction where they are seeing women on their feeds. You get me? It's an inevitable process. That's one thing. Whether you also want online dating, right? Women, and I get what you're saying. It's not a case of where a man has access. Remember, women grant access to the sex. You grant access to sex, that's a pure fact. We don't have access to that. That's why most men you'll find who are on these things they hardly get DMs. You get what I'm saying? So in that respect, it doesn't necessarily allow us access because you're posting pictures. It just allows us access to view and to see and to have a little bit of a narrative in our heads of what's going on. Chloe, you have something to say.
To be more specific, I think I'll address everyone's points kind of. What Mrs. Yu was saying about women doing it to feel good, that is true. Women do that, you know, look good, feel good. Like, you know, sometimes when you're feeling really bad, like dressing well puts you in a better mood. Second of all, I think in terms of like, okay, you can look at a woman's IG, Twitter, Instagram, or social media, or even in public. I think there's a difference between being attractive, but I feel like it doesn't give a right for men to use malicious words. You don't have to have a good regard for her. It doesn't, or they'll give you the right to say disgusting, disturbing things. Do you know what I mean? Just pay it no mind and move on. Do you know what I mean? If you've not got nothing good to say, don't say anything. And it goes back to kind of like a naivety of some women. I kind of hear the point where, okay, you don't do certain things in public if you don't want certain reactions. But I think to be realistic in this day and age where we're liberated men and women across the spectrum, regardless of your gender, your sex, your orientations, I think nothing should invite disrespect. And I also feel it should go the same way from a man to a woman, and also to when people are in other cultures, spaces or countries, for example. I think it also goes both ways. There's a time and place for everything. So I think, yeah, you don't have to have any regard for someone. It doesn't, however, like you said, giving physical aspect is another level, but I also don't think it should invite like disturbing words. It's like, okay, just because you think someone's behavior is poor, like, or something, it doesn't mean you should. It's like letting boys be boys. That's not helpful. So I think that's how people should see it, really, in a realistic way. Like, if you don't, it's like someone's Instagram or social media. If you don't like what someone says, it's for everything. So if you don't like someone's social media comments, pictures, don't follow it. Just don't. You don't need to say anything, as long as it's not offensive in that time and space. You know, or disrespectful. Doesn't mean you need to disrespect that person based on your opinion.
I get that. That is definitely true. There is a fine line between in terms of the respect factor. You do get your crazies out there. You get your creepy guys out there who will say unbecoming things. I think that's something that the internet has conveyed to us in terms of just, you know, poor behavior. It does show us there are people out there who are just really poor in their ethics. I get that. However, and it goes back down to that question. And this is a question I'd like to ask, especially, thank you, good that Mrs. G's back on, is that if it weren't for the platforms or having to portray beauty, because remember one thing, guys, don't get it twisted. For ladies, and this is a reality. Your beauty is basically like I hate to say advertisement because everyone uses it for wrong context. It's like literally a marketing thing. All right.
It's a commodity.
Yeah. It's a commodity, and most women look, e.g., our influencers, they portray without the, like, ask any influencer to take off makeup and wear normal. Ask them and say, go at the same energy you have, what you're doing now, without what you have, without having to convey your beauty. Fuck on. That's all you're gonna get. You're not gonna get really much of a result, because most of these women, these /influencers, slash women, it's girls, are selling their beauty to get the attention that they need. I can probably put my maths down here is that you take most of these female influencers, majority or a good number who support them are men. They follow them. They're men. You know what I mean? Because they're so googly eyed over these people. But anyway, that's just my thing. I get what you're saying, but it's never always necessarily one doing it for themselves. They're doing it for a reason.
Like, I think to add to that, I think at the same time, women need to be mindful, not all attention is good attention.
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, call came through. I think women need to be mindful that, you know, not all attention is good attention. And also the fact that, you know, if you're going to be, you know, the way that you're marketing yourself, as you said, you know, you're going to attract a certain audience. So you need to be mindful of that at the same time.
I feel like in life, everybody has their positions and their role and their place to play. So let's just get back to the basics. Be honest with yourself and do what you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's all you have to do. It's really like, you know, the thing is, I have no concern about why somebody puts their stuff on social media. I have no concern. It's just what I see. But no, at the same breath, one shouldn't really necessarily complain about the attention, because it's about attention. And so when somebody goes onto the social media posting seductive pictures, there is going to be a bit of an effect, because that large percentage of men who look at you are going to see you in a certain way. That's why you do the oddly unbecoming behavior of individuals, of particularly guys or whatever the case may be, when it comes to DM. Yeah, that's my last thoughts about that one. Mr. King, any last thoughts for this topic? We'll move to the next one.
Yeah, just as I sort out my video, just on the topic itself, again, for me, it's really going back to.
You're lagging a bit, brother. You're lagging.
I thought it was just me, but it's breaking on my side too.
What the purpose? Right. Okay.
Okay.
You good now? Can you hear me clearly now?
Yeah.
Or am I still lagging?
No, we got you.
All right.
Mr. King went to somebody's house. Now his location has changed. You think you must check up on people all the time.
Wow. Exactly. No, that's why we must check up.
Connection.
Nah. I'm still in the same place. I mean, you can check my background right now. My video just came on.
So lucky you are.
Oh wow. Oh my goodness. Skeptical much. Anyway. So yeah, no, ultimately it's a powerful thing, checking up on each other. You know, as Mrs. G just jokingly said, checking up on each other, because yeah, I could have been at a completely different place right now. It's a powerful thing, but every single powerful thing does need to be used responsibly, and so it's just because I believe we're not just talking to each other,
Yeah,
also
just
talking
hopped onto a
to our
chat
worship
and
and
I
our
didn't even know what we're chatting about.
Yeah, use every single powerful thing, especially within the constructs of right.
Breaking again.
Yeah.
Come again?
You're breaking.
Am I breaking again? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I promise you I'm in the same place.
Okay, you're good now. Your sound's good, but your picture's frozen. So I think it's catching up with itself.
All right. Okay. Am I still frozen?
No, you're good now. You're just on 720. You're on 480p, but it's fine. It's all good.
All right. All right. What was the last thing I said that you heard? Just so I can just run that back.
What is even the conversation? We're just talking about general things.
Yeah.
I hopped on lately, right now.
Nah,
Not even
I'm
all of
still.
this.
I mean, I mean, we could really continue about that no sex before marriage thing, but you know what? I'm gonna let it rest. Let's carry on.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Why are you so pressed on this? No, no, no. There's
No,
no
you're
such
pressed
thing.
on this, not
Guys,
me.
sex has to happen before marriage. Imagine you commit yourself to someone and then you get to have sex for the first time and they whack.
For me,
What if it
like I
works as
said,
well?
What must not happen?
If,
Okay, but again, I love how that argument is used, and every single time it's like it's the worst of the two sides that are brought up. So like, okay, so what if you do commit to saving yourself for marriage and it actually works out? I'm just saying, consider both sides. But anyway, I'm not arguing either or. I'm just saying, let's be fair and weigh the scales on both sides. Let's not just be like, okay, what if they whack? Like, okay, but even if they are whack, you can learn.
You can learn, so I must be a teacher. I must now be a teacher. No way, guys.
I mean,
didn't
there's
sign up
ways
for
to
that.
tell beforehand.
That's like, now you're a teacher. No, 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 no. We want
with
to
his
know what we're
whiteboard,
getting
with his
into.
whiteboard in the background, with his permanent marker. Damn teacher.
No, guys, please, let's not fool each other on this one. This thing of sex before marriage, it's a no. It's a big no. Any sensible woman knows it's a no. It's a no, 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 no.
Wait,
We want to bribe those goods before we buy them.
Can I please hear Chloe's thoughts on this? I just want to hear. I'm out of keen interest.
I know she agrees.
I sway to your side, Martin. I mean, I've had mixed feelings over the years, but
Yeah.
I think there are different ways. I know your concerns as a woman, and men have the same, but for a woman, there are ways you can kind of tell before you get into it. You can kind of
What are you saying?
There are ways to calculate your expectations.
No.
Here's my thing.
There are ways you can calculate your physical compatibility before you actually go all the way.
Like, here's my thing.
No, I want to hear from Chloe. She must teach me. Teach me, Mr. Miyagi, because I'm your pupil now.
No, here's my thoughts. Like I said on the situation. It depends. If you are a person I meet and chances are you've probably given it up already, let's not have this conversation, because there's no way that you could give it up in past and then hold it back so that you could pursue me and I could commit to you. There's no way that's going to happen. You've done that already.
Yeah.
The same applies to if, for a hypothetical sense, I date somebody who already has a child. You cannot hold that back from me. I'm sorry. You gave up your womb so that you could be with somebody else, and now you're holding things from me back. Hell no. Hell no. Let's be real about this. You can't be putting me under duress when everyone else got the peace. Come on now.
Wait, Alfred. Are we going back to entitlement now? Are we going back to feeling entitled over a woman's body? What is it?
No, it's not entitlement. I asked for nothing. Except, a little bit of fairness.
No, but you also can't compare yourself to, like, let's say you enter the relationship now and I have a child already. You can't compare yourself to the father of my child. You don't even know our history and where we come from. So who are you now to want to put yourself in that same page, the same book?
No, but you gave him.
You are a new chapter. You actually a whole different book, not even in the same chapter.
You gave him the penultimate. You gave him the penultimate thing that any woman can offer a man as a child. And
at that time, it was the thing that must happen.
But now here's the thing: you can't. Now you're holding the act. You're holding the act, but you gave. I'm not comparing myself
to. I've changed. I'm a new woman. I've grown up. Listen, like for me, for example, I gave birth when I was 20.
Okay.
I was 19. I felt pregnant at 19, gave birth at 20. So here I am now, there's no way my husband can come to me saying I gave him what. I was not the same person that I am today.
But
like whatever his argument is does not stand. He must get over it. It is what it is. Life moves on. We are moving in this direction. Take it or leave it, sweetie.
Either way, you can't. Not saying you can't. It's not logical to withhold that back and put a guy on a 30. What is that? The 120-day rule.
90 days.
90 days. Yeah.
A 90-day rule, and you've already had a child by somebody else. That makes no sense. Like, why would one go through that process?
That's what I agree with you there.
Like, I as a guy would be like, no, you gave somebody else a child and you're holding sex from me.
You know what? The thing is that I feel like this whole thing is like a weird thing.
Yeah.
Why I say it's a weird thing is because I met my husband online. Eventually, we went on a date. Eventually, we got to a point where I was at his house.
Mm-hmm.
And that day at his house, we drank, we had fun, we talked, whatever. Now it's time to go to bed. So I was drunk. He was not as drunk as me, but he was also drunk. And he'll never forget the day. He's like, I was never ready. As soon as we got to bed, you just stripped down naked and climbed into bed. Because I sleep naked the whole year round. I sleep naked. So he was never ready for that. And he was like, this woman is naked in my bed, and he didn't know what to do. And luckily for him, he actually did nothing. He didn't touch me. He didn't hold me. He did nothing. So I actually told him that if he had attempted to do anything with me, I feel like I would have probably never been in touch with him ever again.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I would have just walked out there saying, okay, he just wanted sex. That's how I would have taken it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No,
yeah, but in the same breath, it's tricky, man. I don't know how to put this thing of sleeping with people first time. What we need to test. We do.
I'm just saying is that based on, in a nutshell, if you want to do that and apply that, go for it. But I think within realism, one shouldn't just like switching it around. One shouldn't put so much stringent terms and conditions, especially taking into account what you've done, in previous times and the decisions you've made, because it's a long-term ripple effect in a way. May be wrong or right, but like, it's.
Yeah, but when you say what you've done, what I've done, okay, something like having kids is an obvious thing. But if let's say you don't have kids, so maybe I've done other creepy what things that are absurd. So are you gonna hold that against me? Like, does it matter?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yes, it does. Like, it does kind of matter. I'm not saying, oh no, like, yeah, we're taking a tally, we're putting your files out there in the docket. No, we're not flipping out files out of the archives. It does matter to guys in a sense. Some guys won't say it, but if anything, most guys, it does matter to them. They're just very certain about it. And like I said, it goes back to the same point I made earlier, is that most men will be fixated by something like beauty, and they will allow the other gender to do what they want to and still keep going with this. Because remember, one thing is that and you're absolutely right, you make a valid point, should I be judged on the past? Well, to a certain degree, maybe not. But however, there are certain things that you probably have done before in terms of decision making that could also affect you in the future. You could also make those decisions then, because you'll find that that guy that you're with might be not vibing. So what do? You vibe, you go to the next guy, you say, I won't do the same thing, I've done this before, next guy. It always becomes a vicious cycle of events. You get me? Like I said, not everybody goes through this. It always depends on the person. It always depends on who you're dealing with as well. But men, it does matter to us about your sexual past. It does. Sad, like, truthfully so.
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
new to me. Wow.
Is it? Yeah. No, most guys won't say it, but it does matter. Yeah. Okay. So now, because we're going through our last stretch, I'm gonna go straight to this one. All right. This is what we spoke about in the group as well. So obviously we're going to share our thoughts here in the situation. Yes. Yeah, that one. So just for context sake, there was a video that went viral. And this is obviously taken into the apparent stories. People have heard of what's going on in Dubai. Girls going into Dubai and basically having to partake in sexual acts for a fee. And obviously this video went viral. I'm not going to even put a link in the description. Hell no. That was a terrible.
No.
I swear, no one should actually, if anything, that video should have been flagged and, like it should have been flagged and cut down. But of course, it's the internet. There'll always be somebody who takes something and puts a screenshot and then puts it out again. It's like a virus. So hence why they say it goes viral. So, yeah, so basically, guys, we're not even, based on the context of that story,
No.
I say this, and I asked this. Have we, are you okay there? All right.
Yeah, I'm okay.
So it comes back to this. Are we living in a society where our morals come at a price?
Yes.
I'll start with you, Mrs. G, since you are anxious to go into this.
I'm going to say yes. I have nothing else to say, but yes.
Okay. Martin,
people
please.
can be bought and people are bought.
Yeah. Exactly what she just said as a last sentence. People can be bought and people are bought on a daily basis. Just to start it off, because I like to look at things comprehensively, like from a whole holistic picture. I'm a big picture person. So I went ahead and listened to like a Twitter space before I hopped on here, just for context and to kind of prepare my thoughts ahead of time. And one of the speakers there said something very interesting. She said, this is nothing new in the UAE. Sex trafficking, sex workers, and all the fetishes that come with it. It's been going on for the longest time. And international travelers and international visitors come, and this is exactly the sort of lifestyle you see going on here. It's only that now, and maybe occasionally, somebody exposes it, and a video trends, and I guess then they have to deal with it. But I guess it's lifestyle. It's a common lifestyle out in Dubai and probably the UAE altogether, Saudi Arabia, or all those different countries, and so. When I look at it from that perspective, I'm like, very clearly, morals do go out the window quickly. When you talk currency, when you talk what can we benefit out of this. But I wonder if it's not just a matter of currency, but it's maybe also a matter of people's own personal beliefs. I believe that before the social media era came, before millennials and Gen Z, if we stretch all the way back, truth as a concept and as a practice used to be very black and white. But fast forward to today, truth is black, white, and gray, right? So it is what it is. It isn't what it isn't, but it can be what you want it to be at the same time. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can manipulate it to suit your own world, and we can agree and disagree, and we can agree to disagree. And, we live in a very inclusive world. This is just what it is. And so, funny enough, or unsurprisingly enough, on that same space, you hear one side say, hey, this is very common. You hear another side saying, this is disgusting, this is wrong. What? How could you be doing this? I mean, I get that you want some money, but letting somebody do that, something so degrading to you like that, wow, that's crazy. But then you have, the gray area that says, hey, who are you to judge what happens in someone's bedroom, right? Who are you to judge what somebody does to get money? Because, I mean, everybody has a shady way of getting money, right? So, if it's your truth, then absolutely live it. So that ultimately makes, coming to one solid answer, one solid consensus on this matter very difficult, almost impossible, because truth is black, white, and gray, right? As far as my personal thoughts are concerned, it's disgusting, it's degrading. yes, it's a corrupt world, it's a morally depraved world, and so these things don't surprise me. But I do think it's not only linked to finances and being soft life, slave queen, whatever the case may be, but it is also linked to people's own personal beliefs. People get a kick out of this. People get a kick out of crapping full tons on someone's face. They get a kick out of having somebody suck their toes, and it's like, whoa, and I don't get it. But that's what it is, man. That's what it is. It's black, white, and gray.
Yeah, yeah. Mrs. G, you can, yeah, sorry.
No, I've got my video on. Okay.
All right,
Right.
cool. Okay, cool. All right. Chloe, what do you think?
You've said a lot. Martin has said a lot.
Wait,
But,
hold on, Mrs. G, I'll let you jump in now. Let Chloe go in and I'll let you do your thing, okay?
Cool.
Hold your thoughts. All right, cool. Chloe?
For me, I think I agree with what Martin says mostly. I think his worldview of we live in I think it was maybe a bit negative or cynical, like more like the whole world being morally depraved. I get where you're coming from. Values have decreased a lot, but I think overall, most people do have a price. It may not be pertaining to just prostitution or sex, but I think if you come to a whole sense in relation to like morality, for example, if you go back to World War, the world wars in like Nazi times and all of that, those were people that you would say upstanding citizens, educated people, nurses, school teachers, housewives, normal everyday working class citizens. They did things that went against their values based on what they thought would be a cost, so I think everyone, not every single person, but most people have a price in, it may just be in one thing where you think, oh, that cost is too high. I will break what I really truly believe in. It may not be due to such an extreme sense of, it may be an extreme sense of danger or something. It may not be to just get a bag like these people in Dubai are, but it may be a point in time where it's life or death. But I think most people do have a price at maybe in one aspect of their morality.
Absolutely.
Mrs. G?
I agree. No, I actually do agree with everything that Chloe said. It's true. It's very valid, and yeah. But also another thing is that I've been online, like looking for like dating online dating, out of your Tinder, your normal mainstream apps. There's other places you can go find people online. And all I can say is that about that experience, there are some very genuine people, very nice people, and then you get the other side, the flip side of the same story. So yeah, weird. People are weird. People have tendencies. And the only thing that I can say I gathered from my experience is these guys who doing these things that you see in Dubai and whatever, these things are even happening right in our doorstep, not even in Dubai. It's happening right in our doorstep because these guys have a type. They literally have a type. So their type is either you broken as a person or you broke in the monetary value or you have no self-worth. They have their type. They know who they're looking for. You've got a low self-esteem, you've got daddy issues, you've got whatever issues. They know who they're looking for and they make it very specific.
Yeah.
And that's what they do. They know who to go for. So when they see you, there's no way that you're going to just meet some girl and make her your potty. Impossible. If, for example, you meet a Chloe or you meet me. It's impossible. But they suss out the people. They filter them. And they know what they're looking for. They know for those weak spots. Everybody has their weak spots, and everybody's weak spots are different. So they already know. So maybe you money hungry girl, so that's how he'll get you. You've got low self-esteem. That's how he's gonna get you. You know? You want money, 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 money. So he'll give you whatever. What are they giving him? $35,000, $35,000 was
Jeez.
the last thing I saw. The last post I saw, they give them $35,000.
I'm sure a lot don't even get that. A lot of them go there thinking, like I've listened to many story time on this Dubai issue over the years. And to be fair, most girls are lured thinking, oh, you just do a regular session, just normal escorting. Then the stories broke out that it's a wild thing, like the video. But then
once you're there,
even the stories that I heard that were graphic were not like in the mouth. It was just like, it was less graphic. It was not so offensive. So I was even shocked by the video in a way. I'm not surprised that happens, obviously. But in terms of, people have told the truth, but not 100. They've kind of downplayed it.
You know what baffles me?
I agree with that. They have definitely downplayed it.
Yeah, because this is something that hasn't it's not new. We've always heard stories of it. There's many other content creators that touch on this topic, and they've made plenty of videos about this in the past. It's just so that now, especially we look at our streets, it's happening and it went viral, and it's somebody that is from here. You get what I'm saying? I'm wrong. So my concern is that, fine, your morals, you're willing to pay the price for your morals to be out the window and do what you did or act the way you act. And I'm not one to judge, do your thing. If that's what you like, do your thing. I'm not one to judge. However, there are ramifications in this day and age that follow you with that $100K or $35,000 that you might have got paid for, because everybody will know how you got it. Everyone will know how you got it, and everyone will know how you achieve your bag. Because I can guarantee you now, 9 times out of 10, that same individual will be out there trying to do the best that they can, try to be on some beauty tip, try to do this, try to sell themselves a certain way. It doesn't matter how, but obviously it'll be known for that, and it'll probably be there.
Yeah, we know you. We know who you are.
It'll probably be it'll be there for years to come. Look at what we saw with Kim Kardashian and her sex tape. Look at what happened with her son finding that sex tape. It's been 20 years since that incident happened, and the little boy came out and he said, "Hey, mommy, look, I found a picture of you," and it follows you no matter how much you cry. She was crying. I'm like, yeah, no matter how much you cry, you did that. You chose to do that, and this is what's following.
Wasn't that so weird?
Yeah, and
when
that's
she
what I'm
was
looking
crying,
at.
I was like, what is she crying about though? At some point, this had to come out.
And my thing is that yeah, sharp. If you want to feel that it's just no one actually in these streets feel that it's actually everyone thinks that it's the same sentiment as Martin. It's disgusting, but at the same time, it will follow you for the rest of your life. The internet will not go away. If God forbid you have kids, they see that, and then they have to look at it, and they're getting bullied in society because of situations like this. It's a terrible one to go through. This right here, it's not a shocker to me like everyone else in this platform right now, but it's just it's like a hard hitter, this one, because it's hella trending. It's everywhere. Everyone's talking about it, but it's just going to really be something for a long, long time to come. And I really feel sorry for that individual.
But like I was saying earlier, is it really? I was saying this earlier because this is not a new thing. It's not a new thing. It's been happening for many years. But in the same breath, like I said, maybe some people actually do enjoy it.
Maybe. You never know.
What? Maybe deep down inside, it turns me on. It gives me that thing. It kicks me off. Now what?
Oh God, yeah.
Mediation
All
or
right,
something.
cool. All right, guys. So yeah, anyway, that's enough of that shit. But oh, did I say that word? Okay, sorry. No pun intended. But okay, cool.
Well,
Before we end the session, guys, any last thoughts? Martin.
yeah. Wow. Again, I'm still appalled. And that's just my own personal opinion. And at the same time, I don't know. I struggle. I really, really struggle with the idea of um, an inclusive society as far as truth is concerned, where a society where truth can be anything, you can argue. And we can't come to one standpoint of what truth is. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't mean I hate people who take a different side to me, but I do struggle with that. And yeah, it's kind of like being in the same house as a family, and then whatever looks like respect is what you define as respect. So if I talk back to my mom, then yeah, I'm being respectful. And if she slaps me across the face, then yes, that's being nurturing. That's how it feels being in the world. And I consistently ask myself in so many areas, what am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to believe in? Which side am I supposed to lean to? Because everything is rapidly changing. What is acceptable today is frowned upon tomorrow, and what is frowned upon tomorrow is acceptable 10 years later. So it's like, it's very, very difficult. So I think that's my sentiments towards it is outside of the fact that it's disgusting. I really do want to express how I really find it difficult. And if anybody feels this way, then put it in the comments. Find it very difficult to live in a world where truth is consistently changing. I do think we need to go back to, even if it's not as a whole world or as a whole society, but even in our own small groups and groups and our own communities, let's define what truth is and let's stick with that. Just my opinion.
Thank you. Mrs. G, 1 minute.
Oh God, I have nothing else to add. Literally, I have nothing to add to what he said. I feel like we just go back to old family values
Yeah.
and just go back to the way we were raised. And you guys know the old family values. Let's just go back there.
All right.
That's the only thing to do. It's the right thing to do.
What say you, madam?
I think I agree with what Martin's sentiment was, that, things are changing very quickly these days. And I think, I guess it sounds hopelessly optimistic, but I think one thing we should do is, or at least try to put in place and be mindful of, is just accepting, or should I say, not being disrespectful or so offensive. We can, in as far as the truth is concerned, yeah, we need to be more straightforward in that regard. But in terms of tolerance, there are levels to it, so I think values, should be taught more. I think parents can't just teach the world and school to teach the children values. I think that's one thing that, since women have gone back to work, you can't just let your kids learn the world from the world. If you're unhappy with your community, locally and maybe nationally, like, it starts at home. That's all I can say. Really.
True.
Absolutely. My thoughts are, when it comes to values, it somewhat does help, and we live in a liberal world now where you're trying to cater for everybody, and it's like such a hard task right now, because you're trying to integrate this group to this group. This one must accept this one. This group must race in these kind of swimming races, and then then it makes a lapse in this one, So I think it also comes back to just simple, like, I hate saying the word because it sounds so political in a sense, but I don't use it in that context. Conservative values, because when you take away conservative values, it kind of opens up another gate. But at the same time, we should have liberal thinking. We must be able to think and be self-aware at the same time. But yeah, for me, like I say, our society, there's so many changes along with this thing called the internet. Imagine going through all these changes without internet. It would have been a different story.
Can I interject you there? When you're saying you don't want to say conservative, I am not an old person, I'm very young, but I'm all for conservative.
Yeah.
That is the way. I feel like we lost the plot when we started giving people. One of my biggest issue with South Africa and the current political situation is that people have too many rights, way too many rights than they should have. And now we're sitting here in this maze because people have way too many rights. If we ran this country in a conservative manner, I don't think we'd be dealing with half of the problems that we have.
Absolutely.
True.
So yeah, absolutely. So I think as well, inheriting westernized culture is also plays a part. So yeah, but in a nutshell, guys, yeah, that's my thing, is that there's always consequences and repercussions to situations that we face as well. And yeah, that's all we can do, send the message out and have conversations like this. Yeah. But guys,
Yeah, I have one last thing to say in terms of your comment about rights. I think with, if you demanding your rights, you must remember your responsibilities first.
Yes.
That's where we've gone wrong. You have the responsibility to earn your rights.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Most definitely 100%. It's actually a conversation that happens in my house because I've got a teenager who has all the rights under the sun, and I even would tell her that yes, you've got these rights, but then you also have to play your part. It's not all about you.
Yeah, you have to also give, you know. But guys, thank you so much for being part of another panel discussion. Looking forward. Thank you guys. I know it's like literally super late now, so we must be also, because tomorrow's a Saturday. For the South Africans in the shape, it's long weekend. Sorry, Chloe.
Chloe, sorry.
We have a bank
only
holiday.
long weekending.
But yeah, guys, thank you so much. And I hope you guys see you soon. And then yeah, let's do this, guys. Thank you so much. Let's chat, and then yeah, see you guys soon.
Bye.
See you soon. Take care, everybody.